In today's training, I want to share with you my guiding principles on how to make a marketable resume that gets you the interviews. Hi, I'm Diana YK Chan. I'm a career coach, speaker, and trainer. I'm the founder of My Marketability, where I help ambitious professionals and leaders like you to find a meaningful career, differentiate as top talent, and land amazing opportunities. With over 10 years of recruiting experience, I've seen my fair share of what makes resumes stands out. And truthfully, less than 10% of the resumes truly stand out as top talent. I've recruited for top companies like Google, J&J, AstraZeneca, and the Ivy Business School. And in today's training, I want to share with you some of my guiding principles of how to stand out. All right, so let's dive right in. So what I want to share with you is what I call my R.A.R.E resume formula. R.A.R.E. I'm going to walk you through this acronym on how to make your resume stand out. So the first R is what I call relevant. So what I look for as a recruiter is really that relevant skills, knowledge, and experience. I would say the most important thing that we look for as recruiters is really the relevant experience first. So whether you have relevant experience in the role, relevant experience in the industry, relevant experience in a similar type of company or size or products, that's the first thing that they're going to look for. The next thing they look for is really those transferable skills, whether it could be communication skills, leadership skills, problem-solving skills. What are those critical skills to succeed in the role? And the other is the relevant in terms of knowledge and expertise. So let's say if you have specific knowledge in a specific product or a specific niche area, that will help you get a competitive edge as well. So what you want to make sure is when you are writing your resume, you really want to make sure it is tailored to the job that you're targeting. So meaning you need to have those relevant keywords. And the way you're going to do that is you want to look at the job posting and really highlight what are those consistent words that keep popping up. And that is a sign or guide for you to make sure that you have those kind of keywords to help you stand out. And typically you want to make sure you have those words at the top quarter of your resume, because it takes only about 6 seconds for a recruiter to screen your resume. So you really want to grab their attention right away. So that's the first guiding principle, is the relevancy there. Okay. The second one is the A, which is really you want to make your resume accomplishments oriented, right? Employer really want to hire people who are high performers with high potential. So what this means is that you really want to include any core accomplishments instead of just the responsibilities. Avoid anything like responsible for this. If you're trying to just write out your job description or what you did, it would not make you stand out, because typically those who get interviews would typically already have a similar role or similar job title. And to differentiate, you need to really highlight what are those significant accomplishments, awards, how you went above and beyond to make you truly a high performer there. Okay, so think about what are you really proud of? How did you create, develop, build, initiate something that really demonstrate those leadership skills in you there? Okay, so that's the A in terms of accomplishments oriented. The third is the next R, which is you want to make your resume results oriented. So this is really what they call the metrics of success. So how did you really contribute to the company's bottom line, or how did you contribute to the overall goals of this project or the business? So think of the key, like what they call KPIs, which is key performance indicators of what they use to measure the success of the project or the business, or anything. Like, for example, let's say in marketing, some of the things that you want to talk about is in terms of how many clients that was acquired, much revenue was generated, and so forth. Now, in some cases, you may not have those specific results, and that's okay. But you really want to think of such as things around timeline or budget, or if you were able to improve something, you want to talk about those things to show that you made an impact or that you actually contributed to the business as well. Okay, so that's a third piece. That guiding principle is the R, which is really the results oriented. The last piece is really what I call the A, which is the easy to screen. So this is really the overall formatting and structure of the resume. You want to make it that it's so easy for the recruiter to quickly scan or skim through the resume really quickly, because remember, it only takes that first 6 seconds for them to decide whether to toss your resume or invite you for an interview. So first things first is that you want to make sure that you have enough white space in your resume. So meaning that the margins, you want to have it at least like 3/4 inches wide, so that there's enough white space, or even like 1 inch there. The next is you want to make sure that you bold your name and make it large because you want them to remember your name. I recommend either having your name in the middle or on the right-hand side of the resume, just because studies also shown that typically people look on the right first. So having your name on the right is also a great way to stand out. The other thing is that if they do print out the stack of the resume, if they do staple it, for example, it's better to have your name on the right there. The next is that you really want to use clear headings to separate the information, right? So that way it has a good flow as well. So you want either bold it and add like a line to distinguish them. You also want to either bold, capitalize, or to differentiate your job titles or company that you worked at as well. Use bullet points. So I recommend using maximum 5 bullet points per role because when you have more than 5, it becomes a laundry list, which makes it very difficult to retain any information there. The other is that I want to recommend to really make sure all the dates are aligned to the right-hand side. Because when you have them all aligned to one side, it's much easier for someone to skim through really quickly. I'm seeing a lot of resumes where the date is like just right below the job title or on the same line. And sometimes it's really hard for them to quickly scan through. Because as a recruiter, we want to see how quickly you progress from one role to another or move from one company to another. They're also looking for red flags as well, for example, whether you've been job hopping or not. And then lastly, I would say is do a test print before you submit. So that way you want to make sure all the information is on the resume there. A few more things in terms of the flow and structure. Sometimes people ask me, well, how many sections should I have? I recommend, some of the key section is number 1 is to have a summary profile section. So this is different from the objective title there. I don't recommend having that because the resume is about what can you do for the employer, not what you want. So instead is having a summary bio, like a branding statement of who you are, what you have to offer, what you're passionate about there. Okay, 1 or 2 to 3 lines. And then from there, if you do have like 5+ years experience, you can consider having also what we call a signature skill section. So kind of like a 3x3 or 4x3 table there that summarizes the key skills. So it's a great way to grab the attention of your key areas of expertise. Next is really your relevant experience section, your work experience section where you include all your jobs that you've had, the dates, and all the accomplishments and results. After that is the education section there. Now, if you're currently completing, let's say, your master's or MBA or you're still in school, if that's still current, you want to put your education section up front first before the work experience. That's because you're doing it, you're in the program currently. Lastly is either the volunteer section or the additional information section. So those are the core sections that you would want to include in a resume. Now, I would say is really keep your resume to 2 pages max. That's really the max I would say in preference in terms of resume. Even if you have, let's say, 10, 20, 30 years experience, you should still keep your resume to 2 pages max. Now, if you are a student, new grad, or someone with less than 5 years of experience, I recommend just keeping it to a 1-page resume. That way it's just much easier because you don't have that much experience yet. If you cannot fill a resume to 2 pages, the best is just to keep it to 1 page. All right, so I hope you find these tips helpful in how to make your resume marketable and generate you interviews. Thank you so much for watching and cheers to your marketability.